Hi, brother. So we've talked about the wounds that men carry. I think it'd be great if we hit on some of the sinful pitfalls that men fall into that are unique to masculinity and being men. And I think the first one off the bat, maybe let's hit is just passivity.
Yeah, passivity.
So yeah, tell me why you think passivity. You know, I've heard some of your thoughts before, but I'd love to hear again.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think
thoughts on passivity. Yeah.
You could somebody could even make an argument that in a man, the sin of passivity was at the very beginning, was maybe the first sin in man with Adam. You know, you could say that before he even ate of that, you know, that fruit from that tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
He's there.
He's there, and he sinned in his passivity because Satan went to Eve to tempt her, and he was there with her, and he just sat there.
Didn't remember, didn't tell her, didn't step in.
Yep, didn't step in like as he was supposed to step in.
Yeah.
And he was just passive. Yeah. And it's just like there's that in every man now because we inherit the sinful nature from Adam, and every man will struggle with the sin of passivity, and a lot of other sins come out of it too.
Yeah, even like one of the causes of passivity is just this selfish. I want to do what's best for me in the moment, and that's my comfort.
Yeah,
selfish comfort. Leading to a passiveness. I don't want to enter in. I don't want to enter into the emotions, my wife has. I don't want to ask my kids about their day.
Right.
Or I don't want to fight for a cause that is worth fighting for. I don't want to step up. But I even think even another cause, and sin ends up residing here, that leads to men's passivity, is the broken wound and painful wound of thinking as a man, I don't have what it takes.
Yeah.
I don't have weight to throw around.
So I don't even want to try.
I don't want to try because I don't want to get the verdict.
Yeah.
That I don't have what it takes. And so I'm going to sit back in fear.
And I don't want to fail.
So now, I don't want to fail. Now I'm fearful.
Yeah.
And I sit in that fear and I don't do anything.
Right.
And I would even take it back to like when you don't have men in your life growing up, or a dad who gently encourages and tells you have what it takes. You don't cultivate a fearlessness and as much or an ability to reject passivity.
Yeah.
Because you don't know that you have what it takes, and so you just continue to sit back. Or what ends up happening a lot is overcompensation, and it becomes a selfish aggression.
Yep.
And so instead of sitting back, men end up acting violently and abusively in their conduct.
Yeah.
And so passivity.
And just one last thing. Passivity that really bothers me is passivity in men to study the Word.
Sure.
They don't want to. They don't want to dig into the Scriptures and put in some, you could say, hard work.
Yeah.
Digging in, studying, reading, knowing, figuring this stuff out, learning who God is, what He does, how He saved us. And I've even, in some of the circles I was in campus ministry, hearing girls say, I don't want to learn deeper theology because I don't want to get in a relationship with a guy and think I know more theology or doctrine than he does. And that's wrong thinking on her part, but it also just shows
very wrong thinking.
Yeah, very wrong thinking. John Piper likes to say, what does he say? He says, "Wimpy theology makes a wimpy woman." But that's a different topic. But it is an observation of how she's viewing the guys around her, that they're not studying the Scriptures, that they're not spending time in the Word. I can't tell you how many times I would be in weekly discipleships with guys and go, "So how much did you read your Bible last week?" "Oh, well, I didn't." It's like over and over and over again, passive in studying the Scriptures.
Yeah, it's depressing. Yeah. So let's go to another one. A pitfall then is giving in to bodily lusts and their cravings and desires, and not having mastered any type of self-control for these lusts and cravings. And I mean, think of like wars have been fought because of male lust. I mean, the countless lives that have been spent because of male lust. The women and children who have suffered have been broken and shattered because of male lust.
Right.
And, we live in a time and place where men can take their lust back by themselves in their own corner of their bedroom.
Yeah.
And it might seem like it's not hurting anyone, but that's
true.
Not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. We've been talking too that men are very visual. They like the visual, and you were telling me that 80% of YouTube users are men. because they like the visual, they like the video.
Yep.
And from my experience, more men like, are big movie buffs than women. That's not, obviously a for sure thing, but maybe it's because most of the guys people I hang out with are guys.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah. Yep.
But like the visual nonetheless, and we like the visual beauty of a woman, and that in a sinful way can be a horrible thing.
Yeah. I know a godly man once said to me, why can't I just, he goes, why is it as men that we can't just look at her and say, oh, she was well made by God, well put together?
Yeah.
Why is, the wickedness and sinfulness in my heart that takes it the next few steps into lusting for? And I mean, Jesus' words, you look at a woman lustfully, you've committed adultery in your heart. I mean, that is a brutal indictment. He's
saying this is serious.
Serious. And when you actually look at lust in that lens, you are undone.
Yeah.
And to think that as a man, as a sinful man, you could stand before God.
Yeah.
With that type of track record, which men have.
Right.
Is
utter
foolishness.
Think that you have more good than bad or something like that.
It's the next one. It's pride.
Yeah.
Like the fact that men are not concerned about and don't see how awful that is because their pride blinds them to the sinfulness of their sin.
Right. Yeah.
And pride they elevate themselves to a place of, God, I don't need you. I'm sufficient on myself. I can even take the place of some of the things that only you can actually do in this universe and in my life.
Right.
And I enter and I jump in there.
Right. And it's even too, like, if we're, as men, if we're not getting, praise from God, if we're not getting our affirmation from God, who we should get it from, we're going to look for it in man. We're looking for the praise of man, the affirmation of man. And what fuels that? Pride, pride, that fuels pride, you could say. When I get the praise from man, whether it be like on in football, you catch the winning touchdown or whatever. In wrestling, I was a wrestler, get the pin that's going to win the tournament for you, whatever it might be, and you get the praise of man, and it fuels your pride, and it's just, but that's, if you're looking for the praise of man, then you're not going to get it from God. And pride's going to be in the midst of that.
Yeah. I think one of the things that pride is by nature competitive. And not that all competition is wrong, but a man, what he ends up doing is setting up this dichotomy in his mind of my abilities or my achievements are more valuable in their nature than yours.
Yeah.
And so we diminish other men, other people.
Yeah.
Because of that. I remember having a college student once confess to me his pride about the farm.
Yeah.
He grew up on the farm. He was proud and prideful about the farm.
Yeah.
And one of my thoughts was, like, why on earth do you care, like, or that excited about the farm? Yeah. I didn't grow up on a farm. Like,
right.
I got nothing wrong with him, but, like, it seems silly to me that he would place his pride in that arena.
Yep.
But someone would look at the things I place my, sinful pride into and go, like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's what Christ, Paul says. If I'm going to boast, I boast in Christ.
Yep.
What else is there to boast in? Everything else is pretty darn worthless compared to boasting in Christ.
And everything we have is given to us by God. All we are is stewards of what God has given us.
Yeah.
Stewards, as Christian stewards of the faith He's given us, stewards of the spiritual gifts He's given us, stewards of the relationships He's given us, stewards of even where we were born and what we were born with or who we were born to family-wise. Like, it's all stewardship. It's none of it's our own. Yeah. So we have no...
And yet we think we're great.
Yeah, and we think we have all this stuff that we got. We did it. Wrong. Nothing could be further than the truth. Pride is horrible.
Yeah. Let's end on this one because it kind of fits the context of what we're doing. Men, the pitfall of making hobbies ultimate things over important relationships in our lives. It could be kids, wife, relationships within church or work. But even ultimately those things, it just serves, we put our hobby, men put their hobbies before God.
Yeah.
And what a abject and utter waste. I've thought about this, like, what would it be like to meet Christ face to face and for him to say, okay, I gave you these talents, I gave you this life and this opportunity, what do you have to show for it? And I'm like, well, look at my deer heads and my fish.
Yep. Look at these mounts.
Can
I put these in the place you prepared for me, God? No.
Like, how embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, is it good? I have some deer mounted. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I got some fish mounts, deer mounts, duck mounts.
Is there a place that's okay? But when hobbies become everything.
Right.
Like hunting is not everything. Fishing is not everything. Camping is not everything.
Right.
Christ is everything.
Right.
And you've made, men make these, those things, but plenty of other different hobbies.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that you and I gravitate towards.
Yep.
Make them.
Yeah, and some guys just literally, I meet guys that it's just like, their whole life it's just like hunting trip to hunting trip. Like, and the time in between is just kind of miserable, and you're just trying to get to the next trip, the next experience, the next adventure, the next this, and you're chasing these hobbies, and who knows what it is. It could be really anything. It could be video games. It could be the next video game. Oh, this, that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Hobbies can... This kind of blends to another topic, I guess, of pitfalls I see for men, is that instead of growing up and taking responsibility and living for a cause and living selflessly for the people close to you, often wife and kids, you end up playing games with your life.
Yep.
And you see men do it all the time.
Yep.
That's what sometimes, not always, but sometimes the hobby thing is a boy who has a man's body still playing games.
Yep.
And there's something when that happens. There's something when it really is just playing games. There's something gross about that.
Very gross. Yeah.
And let me just finish with this story. And
yeah.
You see the deer head in our office all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the biggest deer I've ever shot. But it's a reminder to me. I was married 6 months.
Yep.
And November comes, and I'm getting all excited for the rut and bow hunting, and I'm kind of obsessing over it. My wife comes to me with tears in her eyes. We've been married 6 months. She says, I feel like you'd rather go deer hunting than spend time with me. And I got mad inside. And I got mad because this had become an idol.
Yep.
And I was putting it above a relationship. And when I really thought about it, I thought, this is so gross of me. That I would hurt this beautiful woman who God gave me, this godly, great woman, and not use some of my time and energy to minister to her needs, but minister to mine selfish. This is really gross of me.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I repented and I asked her forgiveness. I said, okay, I just think I should take some time off, not go hunting. 2 days later, she comes back to me and she says, I think you should go hunting. I'm like, is this a test?
Yeah. Trick question.
Is this a trick question? What's going on here? And she goes, this was very mature and godly. She goes, I believe that you're sorry and that you've apologized and I've forgiven you. And I know you really like this. And that when used rightly, it's good for your soul. I think you should go deer hunting today. I was like, okay. So I drove 20 minutes to, my hunting spot, and 20 minutes later after I left the truck, I had shot the biggest buck I still have ever shot in my life. And now it sits in our office staring at me, never blinks, saying, love your wife more than your hobbies.